Well, new project. Here we have a Cummins 4B that we're going to turn it into a 4BT. So I have a line on a turbo that came off of a swather. So we're going to put that on here. Talk to some people. I know the turboed models the pistons are different. And the injection pump is different. Because this doesn't have an aneroid valve on it because it has no boost. It's naturally aspirated engine. Anyway, so talk to somebody. I don't know what the heck they're. I understand you could probably get away with just turbo in it and not worry about the pistons, but I have a book on the B model engines. They're the same, the 5.9 and the 3.9. It's an identical motor. The only difference is 2 less cylinders. Anyways, the book shows that the pistons are different, so we're changing the pistons out in it. And the guy that told me, he goes, well, I don't know who told you that you needed to change the pistons out in it. You don't need to do that. You need to change the injection pump. Well, I'm going to do it right, so whatever. I'm changing the pistons. Anyways, as far as the injection pump goes, he said I needed a different injection pump, which, yeah, if I was putting this in a vehicle where you are on and off the throttle all the time because you're shifting gears or you're coming from a dead stop and you mash down on it, basically the aneroid valve keeps it from smoking. And when it comes up, this manifold pressure comes up, it kicks all the fuel to it to keep it from, instead of all the fuel at once rolling smoke. So this thing's going in a tractor. It's going into a trackless MT, which that motor actually came out of the trackless MT, not this one. This is an older model here. This has a Ford motor in it. But anyways, it's going into one of these. And it's a snow blower. So that means when you're running this thing, it's hydrostatic, so you're not on and off the throttle. You're just going to go and wind the engine up. It's going to sit there, most likely, to get the RPMs out of the PTO. You're going to run it wide open. So 2,500 RPMs is what this motor's going to sit there singing at. Not having an aneroid valve on it isn't really going to make a difference. So all I'm going to do is turn that pump up just a little bit and to compensate for the turbo, the extra air we're pushing into it. And then maybe down the road, or maybe I will this time after I get it rebuilt, we might put bigger injectors in it, but I'm not trying to get 400 horse out of this little dinky engine. I'm just trying to get a little over 100 horse out of it. It's setting right now, it's at 76 horse. That one with that Ford engine in it is 80 horse. And that Ford motor is actually more powerful than this little Cummins here. Of course, that Ford motor is a little bit bigger motor. It's not much bigger, but it is a little bit more cubic inches than this 4B Cummins here. So anyways, I'm going to pull a pan off this thing and checked and see. I don't think this motor has ever been touched. So theoretically, everything should be standard, meaning the rod bearings, the crank bearings, and the pistons. They all should be standard. Should never been. I don't think it's ever been touched. Although the weird thing I'm looking at right now, which I don't understand, is I just noticed this just now, is that block. It's got black paint on it, and it's got gray or brown paint, which I know it had brown paint on it. So either somebody got really lazy with the brown paint, or it's been dicked with. So we'll open her up and see. Hang on. Well, there's the pans off. I'm gonna pull one of the rod caps and the main bearing caps and see if they're standard. I don't see where anything's been in here. Anybody's been in here messing with it. So I think it's safe to say it's never been touched. So hopefully I can't really tell down in there and see what the cylinder walls look like until I get the head off, but cam looks good. So I'm gonna get the caps off this thing and see what we got. Well, pulled it all down, or pulled the caps off. They're all standard. Checked to see if it actually had piston coolers in it, and it does. The only thing is this one here, number 3, is short for some reason, and number 1 is missing. So I need to get new nozzles for it. And so anyways, I guess start pulling this thing apart. See if I can get it flipped back over and get it locked at top dead center so I can lock this injection pump so it can get shipped off and rebuilt, basically, because I imagine it's probably wore a little bit internally. So do that, and then start pulling the head on everything off of it and getting these pistons out of it. Probably pull the crank. I need to pull a crank, probably get those. I'm definitely going to have to pull a crank to get those piston coolers back in it. I think I'm going to leave the cam alone. Anyways, that's what we got. So I'm going to flip it over and get it tore apart. Alright, well, I'm going to pull the injection pump off and the injectors out. Then send them off to the injection rebuilders. They're going to rebuild it and hopefully turn it up. I'm going to take the injectors out of this. They didn't know. They wanted information on what these injectors needed to be for turboed, so they're going to turn that pump up, but they didn't know what to do with these injectors because they don't know, and I don't know. So one thing I have that I do know is I do have a set of injectors out of a 5.9, a 90, that obviously been turboed, so we'll see if they're the same or not, but I don't know. We'll see. Pretty sure that they're identical to these. I don't know about the internals, but everything should hook up. But we will rebuild these 4 and maybe rebuild those 4 off of that and see if they're different. If not, we'll rebuild them, have this pump turned up, and go from there. Well, let's get this thing apart. What are you doing? Barking at? Well, that was brilliant. Good thing I moved that bucket of oil, or I would have dropped them in it. Like I did that flat plate. Came off the injector line. Damn it. throttle linkage. So, pull these injector lines off. Should be, if I remember, 17 millimeters. And then we gotta do these 17 over here off the injectors. That one wasn't very tight. Alright, those are on. I'll just take the brackets off, which those should be 10 millimeter. Yeah, those are bigger than 10. What size are those? 12s? It might be 10 or 11. Nope. Probably 13 millimeter. It'd be nice if I could find an aftercooler for this thing. Alright, there's those. back set of injector lines. Put these bolts back in here. I don't know what the hell that was from. Piece of wire. Front injector lines. We'll find those other injectors for that 5.9. I'm pretty sure they'll thread on here. Pretty sure they will. Although if I had an aftercooler on here, then I'd have to change the injector lines because they ain't going to work the same, so. Alright, pull these fuel lines off. Pull it off there, pull it there and there. This is the return line. Oh, we got. Don't lose that. Although I should be getting a new one with the gasket kit. It's supposed to be here next Wednesday. Those look like that's been off before. Somebody's fucked with it. Way it's bigger, smaller than 5/8, like the 9/16. Hopefully that fucker will come out of there. Ooh. Well, it come out of there, but in the wrong fucking way. Pull that off. What about this one? Nuts welded to the damn steel line. So we'll pull it off right there and then spin that nut off, or spin that line off, and then see if we can fray that nut up so I don't break that line. I've already locked this engine to top dead center, so I got to pull this little bolt, basically kind of a bolt thing out right here, pull this shim out, tighten it back down, that'll lock this pump. That way everything's in time. That's a long-winded damn hook line right there. I think I got it. Alright, that's a 5/8, I think. Get it off right here. These are kind of phony. I had a John Deere that had these on there and they always leaked. return lines off the injectors. Fuel supply line. Figured it'd do that. Thing's welded itself together there. It's probably got a bunch of crap in it, a little rusted up probably. We'll get it. Alright, got that, and pull this bracket loose, the support bracket off the back of this pump. This thing was locked down right. Make sure that my engine's locked. Had a bar. There it is. So what you do is you pull this pin right here. There's a pin right there. You push, you turn the crank till it locks into a hole on the cam gear. When it goes in, that is locked. Your engine and everything is set at top dead center. Then you pull this bolt out. Well, you don't really need to pull it clear out, but just pull it back out enough to get the shim out of it. Or it's slotted. So one side's smaller, so when you tighten the bolt down, it's loose. Then the other side is bigger and it slips over it. And you tighten it back down and put a little bit of a snug on that. Now your pump is locked top dead center. Still got to pull that return line off. Size that is. That's a metric something. This is a CAS pump. The Bosch pump will be the same as far as locking it down. There'll be a tab down there. And then the rotary pump, or the inline P pumps, they have a plate or plug you pull out. You pull the deal out, turn it around, and shove it in there, and that locks the pump. Alright, there's that. Pull the back of this thing off. The support. Pull the gear off the front, take this cap off the front of the accessory drive housing and put a puller in there and pull that out. Pull the gear off the pump. Actually, I guess I didn't need to pull that. Well, it might have gotten away. Maybe not though. I'll pull it anyway. Put this bolt back in it. And clean this block up, paint it, get rid of this county orange. Alright, pull cover up front of this engine and get to this gear. Alright, I loosened this cap up with a pair of channel locks. Usually, like the Dodges, some of them have a filler cap on here to fill the engine oil, but this one's just got a cap. It's unscrewed. There's your nut on your injection pump. So you pull that nut up, put a puller in here, push that. So we'll get a socket, pull that off. Just be sure when you pull this, any of these pumps off, that the pump is locked before you do this, because if you don't, the pump will go out of time. And I'm guessing you probably never get it back in time. Unless you have somebody that knows what the hell they're doing, put it back in time for you. Just a regular threaded nut. It's not backwards. See, and actually on these, compared to a P pump, I haven't pulled one of these off. I don't think I've ever pulled one of these off. Actually, these are actually keyed. And I don't know if there's a mark in here. I won't know until I pull the cover off. But if there's a mark on this gear that lines up on another mark on the cam, then I guess you could technically get it back in time by putting it back. But I was thinking that this was not keyed. But apparently it's a should be a tapered keyed shaft, but this one actually does have a key, but the P pumps do not. I gotta find some bolts that are long enough. Alright, got some bolts. Looks like to me this injection pump has been off before. At one time. Looking at the shaft, it's all gulled up. Well, that puller ain't gonna work. It's not narrow enough. Different puller. Well, I couldn't find my steering wheel puller to pull this freaking thing, so I kind of made this one work. So, let's see if it'll come off of there. Just like that. Pops that out. And I didn't screw the threads up too bad. So before you pull, also you want to make sure that there is a mark on the side of your engine here, so you can put all your injection pump back in the same spot. Which this one does have a mark in it. It's just not in the right spot. So I don't know. I guess we will see how it runs when we get it back together. But I know where it's got to go. So we'll pull the bolts off this injection pump and get this injection pump pulled off. That seems to be a 13 millimeter. Alright, she should come off now. There it is. There's that set locking pin for to lock this thing in top dead center. What you do is this thing is slotted, so when you want it away from it, you back this off and you slide this down, then tighten it back down. That holds it there. And then when you want to lock it, you loosen it, slide it, and then tighten it down. And it's bigger on one end than the other. But anyways, there is the injection pump off. Now let's get these 4 injectors out of this thing and get this stuff sent off. Well, first thing you need to do is get this return lines off of this. This needs to get put back on the injection pump. The return lines on this should be 10 millimeter to get the little banjo fittings off of the side of the injectors. One. Alright, now that that's off, I don't know what size those are. Well, they're probably metric, but 15/16 fits on it pretty good. All right. The thing is with these, with the nut, it's got a deal in the injector that as you turn this thing, it's actually pulling the injector straight out. Whereas some of them have like a little C-clip and you got a bolt and you pull the C-clip out and you got to pull it out, which kind of sometimes be a pain in the butt if they've been in there for a while because they don't want to come out. I stand corrected. These don't have that little ball. They might not want to come out. That thing is on there. Well, that one isn't very tight. Neither was that one. Well, hell, that one ain't gonna come out of there now. This one's kind of stiff. Well, there's them. Now, the fun part, trying to get these out of there. Well, yes, find some stuff to spray in there. Alright, found what I was looking for. You think that's been in there since 1980? What year is this engine? 1988, most likely. Never come out of there. This one over here might be interesting with all this crap in the way. Nope, that one came out. There's one. I stand corrected. You can't turn them because the injector has got this little ball on it, and it's got a slot in the head where it just sits in there just right so. So about all you can do is wiggle them. Maybe some channel locks, pair of pliers, wiggle it back and forth, pull them straight up. Maybe. Bar. I think it's coming up. Slowly. Oh. Maybe not. Kind of welded down in their head where that nozzle goes down in that head, probably. can get enough that spray to go down in there. Probably come out of there. So that carbon buildup in the nozzle there and makes it a little bit tough to get out. Well, that one's kind of loose. I get now. And get it out now. Number 4's out now. 1 to go. This one, it's kind of in a pain in the butt spot where this fucking exhaust manifold's right here. Here's all the injectors. That one has got some rust on it right there. Probably the reason why it won't come out. So that's how you do that. I'm going to gather all this stuff up and send it off to the injection shop. And next video will be me tearing this thing apart. Alright, till next time.